That way it's there showing you.
I'm saying, like, you got it in the house. I like to see that.
Bishop. Press conference.
Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Dana. I am the Public Information Officer for the City of Atlantic City. For today's press conference, Mayor Marty Small Sr. will discuss the administration's efforts to use the city's siren system as an enforcement mechanism in the Juvenile Curfew Act. At the same time, following details on that system, Mayor Small, Chief Sarkos, and One Safety Evolution will discuss the ongoing violence in the city of Atlantic City. Following remarks from our officials, for any questions, please make sure that you state your name and your outlet before your question. And at this time, we will only be handling questions on topic. Mayor?
Yes, good morning to the media that's assembled. Good morning to the citizens that are here. It's a great day here in the city of Atlantic City. I'm Mayor Marty Small Sr. and I want to talk about the initiative that our administration has been working on, and today we will do a citywide test. As a child coming up here in the great city of Atlantic City, as a deterrent to violence, there were 2 curfews in place, one at 9:30, one at 11. Back then, your parents told you you better be home by the time the curfew siren ended. Through much deliberation, this has been on the books. This is something that I sponsored as a city council person. However, we didn't equip our police department with the necessary tools to assist them with enforcing the matter. Some people in the community said that at 9:30 or whenever, have the police turn on their lights. That's not responsible. That's a distraction. When the police turn on their lights, it's an emergency. Though we want people in the house, we searched high, we searched low, and we were able to use some of our COVID funds to make this happen. In addition, it's not just a curfew system. And in the case of an emergency, we'll be able to get a message out to the entire city over the loudspeakers that are strategically placed around the city, on the boardwalk, and in every neighborhood. We see one here, to my right. That will alert the residents. This is something that we're going to ask the community to hold everyone accountable, and more importantly, we're going to ask the parents to hold their household accountable. Because if the violation of the curfew is going to happen, the parents are going to be held accountable. And for us to grow as a city and to continuously mean that it truly takes a village, that village and charity starts at home. And government doesn't raise your children. Government is here to assist, to put the necessary tools in place so your children and this community has everything it needs to succeed. And at the end of the day, and we'll talk about it more in the second half of this press conference, I understand that people are angry and upset at what's going on. And I understand I'm the mayor of this city, and I take this accountability in this position very seriously. And we are doing something about it. We'll get into the details of what we're doing, but today we wanted to let the community know that this administration has done another thing that we said we were going to do for the people of Atlantic City. And we got these horns who have been out of place and out of whack for a long time. And we'll let Chief Evans get into the details, but we'll talk more about the ongoing violence in the community at the conclusion of this half of the press conference. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'll fill you everybody in on a little bit of the details of the Siren program, what its capabilities are, and how we plan to use it. First of all, the program was first built in 2005. There were 6 sirens put on the boardwalk. The original intentions were to use the sirens to assist in evacuating the beach during lightning storms, when conditions get dangerous and when we need to get the public off the beach. They're also used to advise the public that bicycles are no longer allowed on the boardwalk, so announcements will be made for bicycles to clear the boardwalk. And they can also be used for the curfew as well. So when we had the opportunity with the mayor in office was to rejuvenate the Siren program and expand it to enhance and add to our hazard mitigation program for the city in its entirety. So this Siren program is another piece of the puzzle to hazard mitigation for the city of Atlantic City, for the citizens and the visitors. So this is going to increase our capability to notify the public, not only for the curfews, but for all emergencies. Whether it's a hurricane coming up the coast and we're looking at evacuations, whether it's for pending lightning storms, serious thunderstorms, flooding. Flooding is becoming more of a common occurrence. So with the sirens strategically located throughout the city, we can really isolate certain neighborhoods and just set the sirens off and advise that neighborhood of, there's pending street flooding. And our street flooding has now become more serious and serious beyond nuisance flooding.
So I have a question.
We plan to utilize the sirens to its fullest capability throughout all the neighborhoods. And in addition to not only being able to sound the siren and make different sounds, we're going to be able to send voice messages out as well. So this is something that we're going to utilize to, like I said, to its full capacity, starting in early July. We anticipate, if needed, to add more sirens, but our coverage is pretty good throughout the city. Stand by. Mayor, you ready to do a test? Okay, we're first going to start the test with a soft tone and an announcement, and then we're going to test a loud tone. So anybody who would have sensitive ears,
Another hurricane hit. Would they be able to handle that?
They got it's called emergency management. They got a whole setup in place. Hurricanes hit before, so they got it all mapped out.
Welcome to the Atlantic City Boardwalk. It's a great day here in Atlantic City. Can you say great day? This is a test of the Atlantic City warning system. The next tone will be very loud.
now mind you, this is being broadcast through the entire city. Remember, this is a test. All right, the entire city, we're going to hear that through the high rises, around the high rises, into the neighborhoods.
This was a test of the Atlantic City warning system. This was only a test.
All right, that concludes the first portion of this press conference. We will deal with the question and answer period together versus separate and apart. But I'm Mayor Marty Small Sr., and it's been a rough few weeks here in the great city of Atlantic City with violent and tragic deaths. Anytime we lose a child, anytime we lose anyone, the entire community suffers. But I just want to say this. This is something that this administration takes seriously. We have put more resources into reducing the violence in this city, be it grant funding, direct funding from the city, partnering agencies such as Ocean Inc. And I said when we announced some of the initiatives, including One Neighborhood Evolution, which is the city's first anti-violence program in Atlantic City, coming out of the mayor's office, that we're not going to solve everything. Let's not kid ourselves. With the curfew, there are going to be violators. That's not going to solve everything. Obviously, it's not. We had someone murdered in broad daylight. When the police officers move pieces around the chessboard, move manpower into certain neighborhoods, and something happens that's not in that neighborhood, you can't control that. So I know that there's a lot of people, and let me just address that. People don't understand, even as mayor, the police chief can't tell me everything that he's doing. There are things that's under investigation. There's top sensitive information. So just because you don't see anything that's done doesn't mean nothing is getting done. These men and women behind me, there are a few members of our anti-violence program, One Neighborhood Evolution. They work day and night trying their best to solve the crimes, trying to get ahead of it. We've secured jobs for the younger people. We're working in collaboration with the LIT program. We've given opportunities for people that have not too great backgrounds to get in labor unions. We are doing our part here in the city of Atlantic City, but at the end of the day, we cannot control every person, let alone every person with a gun that intends to do harm with everyone. We're doing our part. And let me just say this. You see the comments on social media from the social media police, and they say, Mayor, you need to talk to the city. And then when you talk to the city, you have the other half that say, what is a press conference going to do? Then they say, well, what about a march? And we march. They say, well, what is a march going to do? Listen, I've been on the front line in this community forever, way before I was the mayor of Atlantic City, dealing with this. We deal with families. We are not going to politicize murderers and unfortunate situations. You have people going live at murder scenes on Facebook. And where's the mayor? Where's this? Where's that? The mayor is at the family's home. Ask him. Ask him. We didn't go live. We didn't put a stat last night that we just left the family's home. My neighbor was killed last week. I didn't put on live. I went to visit the family to offer assistance. That's between me and the family. That's not what leadership does. We put the everyday stuff on social media, but we're not going to politicize the murder of our people. At the end of the day, this is a challenge to this community. Stop pointing the damn fingers. Straight up. Police your house. Police your neighborhood. You know what's going on. Stop being enablers because some of these young kids are paying the bills. Step up. We're doing what we can do. You do what you can do. And at the end of the day, as I stated, it's happening under my watch, and it's not acceptable. And it won't be acceptable. And we do have a plan, and we're going to execute that plan. But what I'm not going to tolerate is people criticizing this administration, criticizing One Neighborhood Evolution, and criticizing our hard-working police department. We have a plan. Can things get better? Absolutely it can. And absolutely it will. We're all going to be held accountable, myself included. But don't make pretend like y'all don't know what's going on in the community. So this is a challenge to the community. Stop pointing the damn fingers and step up. Now we'll hear from Chief Sarkos.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. So I just want to let everybody know that we're working very closely with all of our public safety partners in law enforcement, the FBI, the Sheriff's Department, the Prosecutor's Office, all state, local, and county law enforcement. This is something we take very seriously. We have seen an uptick recently in violent incidents. It's not something that other cities haven't been experiencing around this country. Unfortunately, we've been experiencing it too. But I want everyone to know that it's something that we take extremely important here. We have extra manpower diverted to the areas where we've seen an uptick in this violence. I am excited about the curfew, the sirens for the curfew. We think this is an extra layer of public safety enhancements that's being brought to Atlantic City. We know that youth out after the curfew, which is 10 p.m. at night, have a greater chance of being involved in criminal activity or being the victims of crime. So we are going to proactively enforce that curfew ordinance, and we think the sirens will aid us in our ability of doing that. Will serve as a reminder to the youth that they need to get home at 10 p.m. And also a reminder to the parents that it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your son or daughter is? So, as the mayor said, it does take a village to raise a child, so I'm asking everyone to chip in here. If you have any information, please reach out to the Atlantic City Police Department, reach out to the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office. You can use our tip 411, which is our anonymous tip texting service if you want to remain anonymous. You can do that by going to your app. Just text tip 411 and start off your message with ACPD. That will then come to us. You can send photos, you can send videos. You can also download the Atlantic City Police Department tip 411 application. It's available on both the Android and Apple platform. So I ask everyone to chip in and let you know the Atlantic City Police Department is out in full force for this. We take this extremely seriously. Thank you.
We will now hear from one of our partners from Atlantic Care, who is doing their anti-violence hospital-based program initiative from a $2.2 million grant from the state of New Jersey. We hope to work further with Atlantic Care so that way we can get extra manpower, because obviously 5 people, won't do it all. But more importantly, the people that are working with this program, again, I'm gonna stress it, we need your help. We need the community's help. And listen, it's going to be a great summer here in Atlantic City. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to do right by the people. So at this time, he also dubs as the president of the Fellowship of Churches of Atlantic City and vicinity, Bishop Hargrove.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mayor Small, with respect to our officer in charge, Chief Sarkos and Chief Evans, and to those here from One Neighborhood Evolution. We just want to say very briefly that our hearts do go out to the families at this time, past and present, that are in their bereavement. And we want to say that Atlantic City is a significant city, but gun violence is not just an Atlantic City problem. In these United States of America annually, there's over 30,000 gun violence occurrences a year, and a third of them are homicides. We have a responsibility to come together to change the community norms. We also understand there's structural causes to gun violence. There absolutely positively is a racial, social, economic at the root cause of gun violence. And so we're here on behalf of Atlantic Care, which has a hospital-based violence intervention program, which once someone comes to the hospital, they're referred to our department by trauma, and we case management them so that they're not re-victimized, neither do they victimize anyone else. And we're looking forward to working closely with One Neighborhood Evolution, the mayor's agenda, to keep Atlantic City great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now begin our question and answer portion of the press conference. Again, please, before asking your question, please say your name and your outlet so our officials know who they're speaking with. Thank you.
My name's Hank Flynn, I'm with Fox 29. I just want to know what the parameters of the curfew are, who it applies to, and what the hours are.
Thank you. So our curfew is written in our local ordinance, which is Chapter 115. You go online to the city's website and you can read about it there, but it's from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it applies to anyone under the age of 18. If you're under the age of 18, you must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. There is a couple exceptions written to the curfew, such as an emergency, such as a school function that you're going to or from, or if you're going on an errand at your parents' permission and you're going right to that point of your errand and right back. But if you go to Chapter 115, it has all the details.
Roger that. Chief, how long has it been in place?
It's been in place for 10 or 15 years. I think it was the last time it was amended. And we have enforced it over the years, but we are going to strictly enforce it now. And we think the sirens will help us in doing that. Our goal is compliance.
Walk me through what happened. 10 o'clock, what do you hear? Siren happened, and just walk me through what happened.
Sure. So 10 o'clock, you're going to hear the siren go off, and this is something that the city did years ago, and the feedback we got from our residents was that they liked it. They liked it just as a reminder that it's 10 o'clock curfew is in effect. So what we hope is, one, it's a reminder to the juveniles to get home, and more importantly, we hope it's a reminder to the parents that it's 10 o'clock and do you know where your son or daughter is. Our officers will be out patrolling the street. If they see a juvenile that's out after 10 p.m., they're going to engage that juvenile. They're going to ask them what they're doing, where they're going. If they're in compliance with the ordinance, then that's fine. And if they're not, they'll be brought home.
How long do they have to get home?
So they need to be home by 10 p.m.
And what's the fine for
So the fine in accordance to the ordinance can be a fine up to $1,000 maximum in community service. Of course, it wouldn't start at $1,000, but it can go up to $1,000.
Chief, Mike Lopez, WOA.
Hi, Mike.
Would there be anything for the parents responsible to
Yes.
I mean, I understand they'll be paying, but anything like that, and,
Sure.
and counseling and stuff like that. We have a lot of single family homes.
Yeah, so the parents are responsible in that ordinance, so the parents are subject to the ordinance as well as the juveniles.
What's the hope for cause and effect between stronger enforcement on the curfew and a hope for reduction in violent crime?
Sure. Yeah, so as I said earlier, we do believe that by enforcing the curfew, you'll see less juveniles out at night, which is less of a chance that they can be involved in crime or the victim of a crime or also witnessing crime. We know that if you witness crime, that has adverse reactions psychologically to our youth. So to get them off the streets late at night, I think is a good thing. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you so much.